Welcome, everyone, to this session of our March 2025 Small Cap Conference. I'm Alex Hantman, and I serve as an equity research analyst here at Zomedica Company. Today, we're pleased to be in conversation with CEO Larry Heaton and CFO Scott Jordan of Zomedica, listed on the OTCQB venture market under the ticker ZOMDF. During the presentation, please feel welcome to submit questions using the Zoom Q&A interface at the bottom of your screen. After the presentation, we'll open to your questions. And with that, Larry, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Alex, and good morning. My name is Larry Heaton, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Zomedica, where we are about the business of helping veterinarians take care of your pets and ours. I'd encourage you to review the forward-looking statements at your convenience. At Zomedica, our mission is to bring innovative diagnostic and therapeutic device technology to veterinarians to help them do the things they really love to do, which is improve the quality of care for the pets that they treat and the satisfaction of their pet parent clients. And importantly, to help them improve the workflow, cash flow, and profitability of their practices, things they really need to do. At Zomedica, we address a very significant market opportunity in animal health that not only is large and growing, it's also resistant to economic downturn. And as it turns out, is an opportunity for us to not only do well for our shareholders, but do good for the pets that we all care for. We have a portfolio of 6 product platforms, each representing highly differentiated, innovative technology. We've demonstrated a pretty solid track record over the last 3 years of acquiring, integrating, and growing businesses as we've built our portfolio of products. We have plenty of capital on hand to continue our progress and to grow the company well beyond the path of profitability. We are expanding not only in the US, but also globally over the last year or so. And we have additional opportunities to expand our product portfolio beyond M&A by internal R&D. And all of these combined with our highly efficient manufacturing and operational team provide us with a great pathway to profitability. So the market's huge, $62 billion US veterinary services market. That's the market that we compete in. The fastest growing segment within that is diagnostic technologies at the point of care, and we certainly compete in that area as well. Large market before the pandemic, grew during the pandemic, and as we all know, there are many things that we would give up before we would not take our sick or injured pet to the vet. And the vet's challenged by a couple of things. They too need to provide revenue growth, either for them to grow their own businesses or if they're part of a corporate group to meet their corporate objectives. And the biggest challenge they have is a staffing issue, which is why our goals align perfectly with what their objectives are. Talk a bit about the products. We have both therapeutic devices and diagnostic technology. All of them walk the walk, the 5 pillars that we refer to, the quality of care of the pet, the satisfaction of the pet parent, and improvements in the workflow, cash flow, and profitability of the business. These devices range from our PulseVet sound wave technology, which is used in the clinic, the Assisi Loop, which is sent home with the patient to take the healing home. And recently we acquired the rights to sell Vetagel, which is a hemostatic agent. All of these provide opportunities for veterinarians to improve the care that they give. The diagnostic technologies range from a laboratory analyzer to a microscope to a very unique monitoring system. Let's dig in a little bit. The PulseVet system provides literally a sound wave that is generated by the generator, which you see in the blue bag, and its control unit. And it's funneled or channeled through the trode or the handpiece that directs the sound wave into the tissue. When it hits the tissue or the bone or the ligament, it activates the body's own regenerative properties. It releases certain proteins, cytokine production is increased, and so on. Backed by over 25 peer-reviewed clinical papers, including a couple of randomized control trials, great results. And economically, it's great too. We have a program where arm's length third-party finance group will provide this opportunity for the vet get this technology, which costs $32,000 up front, but pay no money down, no money for 6 months, then only $100 a month for the next 6 months. During that time frame, if they just use the average number of treatments that vets do, within 12 months, they'll have generated $36,000 in revenue at $300 per treatment. For us, we sell the system for $30,000 and each handpiece for $2,000. The handpiece lasts between 50 and 60 treatments, depending on if they're treating small animals or horses. At the end of that time, then they acquire another one from us for the same $2,000. Our consumable revenue for this product line is about 2/3 of our total revenue, even though it's 15 times less for each handpiece. We have a great opportunity here in terms of selling capital and generating capital revenue, about $1 billion opportunity should all clinics in the US adopt one, and about $150 million on a recurring revenue basis. The Assisi loop, once they're done in the clinic, the Assisi loop is sent home with the pet parent. The Assisi loop generates targeted pulse electromagnetic field therapy to the animal. This in turn increases endothelial nitric oxide, which has the result of reducing inflammation and treating pain. It's a pretty simple product. Press a button on it. It works for 15 minutes. It works over time for 150 treatments, at which time the pet parent needs to purchase another one. There's about a $300 million market opportunity in the US conservatively, since this could actually literally be used for pretty much any pet. We sell it for $200. The vet sells it for $300. It's a great deal for the vet and also for the pet parent, and most of all for the pet. Vetagel hemostatic gel is a really simple product. It's a hemostatic gel that was developed with an eye on the human market, and the company Cressilon recently got FDA approval to treat trauma, blood loss associated with trauma. When this gel comes into contact with a bleeding surface, it stops the bleeding within 5 seconds. We sell this for around $40 per syringe. The vet generally marks that up 100%. Economically, it's good, but the real benefit here is rapid rapid hemostasis, quicker cessation of blood loss, less blood loss, and less time spent in the OR. Shifting to diagnostic products, our TruView microscope is literally a digital cytoscopy platform and telepathology platform. In that, the slide is read by the machine itself, and it's also sent up to the cloud. When the vet takes a look at the image, if they're satisfied and can make the diagnosis from there, they're done. But if they would like to have a pathologist report, press a button, and within 2 hours, one of our board certified pathologists will get the results to them for a fee of $75. This microscope is unique not only because it's a great image and it's an oil immersion scope and it has a liquid lens and it gives the best image out there, but also importantly, because it processes the slide itself. It prepares the slide. When you do a blood slide, there's an art to doing the smear just so. And that takes a little time because you're staining it with 3 different stains, you're drying it, you're fixing it, and then you're putting it in the machine, and probably you got it right, but sometimes not, and you have to do it over. It's about a 5-minute process. With our device, you simply put the blood on the slide, you put the slide in the machine, the TruView, and it does the rest for the technician. So it's a time saver, plus it's also a highly efficient way to get rapid results on your either hematology or cytoscopy slides. We put this in the practice for about $500 a month, $495. That includes the first 100 slides, and then we charge them $75 for each new slide. In field testing right now is AI functionality for this device, which we expect to launch in the near term, which would give an AI-generated report for every slide that we put in. TRUFORMA. This is a device that we've had for the longest. It's a blood analyzer that performs certain assays or tests when pets are suspected of having certain conditions. This is not the everyday well patient visit, give me your blood test, and so on and so forth. Rather, it's for when patients have a particular condition that needs to be investigated. The reason this is unique is that we use something called bulk acoustic wave technology. We use BAW sensors that measures changes in mass by changes in resonance. It's unique. We licensed it from Qorvo and ultimately bought Qorvo Biotechnologies, their subdivision or their subsidiary that created this product primarily for the human market, but we acquired it for the veterinary market and actually now own the human rights as well. But in any event, this sensor allows us to have an expanded dynamic range, which allows us in turn to perform tests in the clinic that can't otherwise be performed in the clinic. Instead, they have to be sent out to a reference lab, takes time, costs more. This device, we put it into the clinic at no charge for the capital and then sell the cartridges. And each time we introduce a new cartridge, which represents a new test, that expands our market opportunity. We launched 6 last year, and we have 4 or 5 planned for this year as well. Our Vet Guardian pet monitoring device is absolutely unique. It's its own new category. This does not touch the patient in any way. No wires, nothing. Instead, it hangs on the outside of the cage, and through a combination of radar and thermal imaging and so on, it provides the pet's vital signs, the temperature, the pulse, and the respiration, the vital signs that need to be monitored whenever a pet is at its most vulnerable, post-surgery, in the ICU, or alone in the clinic overnight. It not only provides a continuous stream of the vitals, but it also provides a continuous video stream at night. It's night vision when the lights are off, and also has thermal imaging as well. We sell this for $4,500. Typically, accounts will purchase one and then see how it goes and see the utility of it. It's a new revenue stream for them as they're able to charge for this continuous monitoring. And then once they get it in, they generally find that another one would be handy. Another 2 or 3 might be handy. I think our largest installation to date has 11 up and running. This device puts the information to the cloud, brings it back down to a big flat screen TV in the clinic, or their phone at night at home, or their iPad, wherever they happen to be. In addition, they don't have to continuously monitor their screen because it will send them alerts if any of the vital signs go into a danger zone, either above or below what is safe. Market opportunity here is really very large. At one device per clinic, it's about a half a billion dollars in terms of market opportunity. Of course, if you expand that by, say, 2 per clinic or so on, then the opportunity goes up. So when you take all of these together, each of them have a recurring annual revenue opportunity for us in the United States, a total addressable annual recurring opportunity here of about 2.7 billion. And in addition, we have the opportunity to sell a lot more capital. 2024, we were slightly over 1% penetration of this market. When we're at 2%, we'll be cash flow positive. At 3%, we'll be GAAP profitable. And at 4%, we'll just be getting going. So we've been doing pretty well since 2020. 2020, we had no revenue. 2021, 4 million, then 19 million, 25 million, and 27 million last year. Some of these years, the growth rate was a bit higher, simply because we had added new products through M&A. Last year, our growth of 8% was all organic, and we expect to accelerate that growth this year. And plus, we've added the Vetagel product line. Whilst growing revenue, we've also maintained really solid gross margins. Last year, gross margins were 70%. We generally guide to between 65 and 70%. You see a little choppiness there as we integrate new products into our manufacturing processes, but generally we're highly efficient in this area. Our cash burn from an operating standpoint has been in the $4 to $5 million range. Quarter over the last year or so, or certainly the last 6 months, it actually came down each quarter last year until fourth quarter when we had a little bit of a bump. And we expect to continue to bring that operating burn down. I will say that most of the capital expense, all of the sort of infrastructure build expense that we've made over the last few years is behind us. And this year we're really focusing on getting to cash flow positive. As soon as we can. Won't be this year, but certainly as soon as we can. We reported just over 70 million, $71 million in liquidity as of the end of the year. And so we have plenty of capital on hand to fund our continued growth. So how do we get to profitability? Really, it's 4 steps. We intend to leverage the optimized commercial infrastructure to drive adoption. We have a sales team, a commercial engine into which we can put products. We've proven the ability to then go out and penetrate the market. Whilst doing that, we'll expand our product portfolio, both through M&A, which is number three, but also through R&D and continued development in-house. Number three, executing a disciplined business development M&A strategy. Over the last, we've had several phases of M&A. First, to acquire infrastructure, then to acquire products for further development. At this point, we'd be looking at things that have revenue and would be accretive to earnings. And finally, continuing to drive operational efficiencies so that we provide operating leverage to the business. Our sales team is substantial. In the United States, we have a direct sales organization, 38 sales territories, backed up by capital equipment specialists and professional services vets. And all of these have been added to recently by adding a new leader of corporate accounts who just left one of the major animal health companies after building a robust corporate account team there. Outside the U.S., we have sales of PulseVet and Assisi in around 30 countries around the world. And we are introducing our other products in Europe and other parts of the world as we finished our CE marking of these products last year. So we expect to continue pretty robustly to expand international. From a product standpoint, we have opportunities with each of the products. Starting with PulseVet, there we have the opportunity to expand to new indications. Recently, we announced some clinical data that supports the use of PulseVet for asthmatic horses, fibrotic myopathy in dogs, bleeders in horses, and we'll continue these efforts because each new indication expands our market opportunity. From the Assisi standpoint, we just launched a product called the EquiLoop, which takes this former small animal focused product now into the realm of equine as well. From a TRUFORMA standpoint, it's simple. We just add new assays, and we'll continue to do that each time. That opens up the opportunity for additional revenue from our existing installed base, and also the opportunity to expand the installed base as those particular new assays become of great interest. A year ago, we introduced the first equine assay, and then we started selling into the equine market. A few months ago, during the course of last year, we also launched another equine assay and then another one in December. And now equine sales are really taken off as the equine veterinarians see the benefits of having this at the point of care instead of sending it out to a university reference lab. And with VetGuardian and TRUVIEW, of course, we're introducing artificial intelligence, and VetGuardian, which already has AI in it, we'll be expanding that into the equine market as soon as we complete some of the additional technical improvements for small animals, which we have slated for this year. From a business development standpoint, as I mentioned earlier, we keep to the 5 pillars. We look to support the objectives of the veterinarians. And as we move forward, we'll be looking to support our efforts towards profitability. And to do that, we'll bring in those products which would be accretive to earnings. Just to provide a sort of a map of what we have done, we started in late 21. In October of 2021, we acquired the PulseVet business, and since then, each year we've brought additional technology into play. While, as you see at the bottom, introducing additional assays for the TRUFORMA platform. And finally, we continue to be efficient on the operational side. Our facility in Roswell is now built out to the point where it could actually produce 5 times our last year's revenue. So we're all good there. Our facility in Minnesota, which we acquired from Corvo Biotechnologies, has been fully integrated. We invested a considerable sum of money in installing a automated robotic manufacturing process for the cartridges, which can do 1 million a year on a single shift. It's now been scaled to be able to deliver substantial growth in the future. So we have all the infrastructure in place now, and don't need to build anymore. So that's good news from a capital conservation standpoint. And we have a stable global supply chain, and I'll mention that now in the context of tariffs. We did some analysis. We do not get much in the way of components or materials for our products outside the U.S. Those we do, if we assumed worst case from a tariff standpoint, it would cost us an additional $20,000 in a year. So we're pretty good there in terms of our supply chain. And operationally, we have non-cash OpEx, which is something that will continue. But from a cash standpoint, we will burn less cash this year than we did last. And that's because we're highly efficient. We're producing really good margins, and also a lot of the sort of integration expenses are behind us. And with that, I'll sort of circle back to the beginning. We have a significant market opportunity. We've got highly differentiated products. We've done a pretty good job of bringing these products in and continuing their development, launching them, generating growing revenue. Our therapeutic device products, for example, since we acquired them, are up 25% in revenue. And we expect to continue to accelerate that growth as we enter new markets with them. We got plenty of capital on hand, and the commercial engine to be able to drive sales of our existing products, those that are new from our R&D standpoint, and most of all, to propel us down the road to profitability. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Thank you very much, Larry. And we'll remind folks who are in our session that they can submit questions using the Zoom Q&A interface at the bottom of your screen. Larry, maybe just to start, with the news last week and the earnings release, I think you've had a pretty nice record of growing revenue, and you reported, particularly strong growth in diagnostics. Could you talk a little bit about, some of the products that might be of interest, either from an organic perspective or M&A perspective, to continue that growth?
Well, sure. So as I just mentioned, right, the ability that we have with VetGuardian, which currently is restricted to small animal use. It hangs on the outside of a cage. The pet, the cat or dog or what have you, is in the cage, so it doesn't move around a lot, so it's easy. We plan to expand that to the equine market. Of course, a horse isn't in a small cage. They're in a stall, and they move around, and they should be able to. And so we're adapting the technology to that. So we expect to launch into that market later this year. We have some sort of technical things that we're doing to improve the small animal version. Once that's complete, then we'll launch into the equine market. With TRUFORMA, we have additional assays, another 4 or 5 assays coming this year that will take us from around 15 up to almost 20 assays. And we're sort of strategic in that, right? So we started with small animals, cats and dogs, mostly dogs. About 80% of vet visits are dogs in this country. But we also had a really proprietary assay for cats. Our TSH assay for cats is better than any assay out there, whether you go to the highest level reference lab or wherever. And that's because our BAW sensor allows it a dynamic range. It can measure lower than any of the other technologies. There was a paper that was presented by a pretty well-known endocrinologist out of Animal Medical Center in New York. He did a study, and we didn't pay for the study. He did a study, and what he found was that if he had used the reference lab, which can only measure a certain level down, it's fine for dogs, he would have misdiagnosed 25% of the cats that he was testing. So with that, we have a very nice sort of beachhead into the feline. And so several of our assays for this year will be focused on cats to expand our business in that market. Similarly, as I mentioned during the talk, we expanded into the equine market, and we have several equine assays that are coming out this year as well. So there's plenty of opportunities there. From an M&A standpoint, we see a lot of technologies that are brought our way because people see that we do this kind of thing. We're highly selective, and at this point, we're limiting our scope pretty much to those products which are currently generating revenue and in our hands can generate additional revenue and would be accretive to earnings.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for summarizing and kind of portraying that for us. And a question from the audience, also on kind of driving the revenue. You touched during the presentation on the sales team and how you had gone through some efforts to make changes there. So could you talk about, if there's going to be further change this year or, if you're seeing some of the benefits from changes you've already made?
So this year, as we started the year, and really as we roll into the second quarter, we've added capital equipment specialists. These are individuals that have demonstrated great results in their territories. And we started with what we call a buddy system, where we match them up with new reps, and we saw good results from that. And so we decided to create positions for them. And so they'll work with all the members of the regional team when they have opportunities for capital sales of PulseVet and VetGuardian, and in the future, who knows? So those we'll see, of course, as we promoted them in the first quarter, at the first of the year, we took some time to hire their replacements for their territories. And meanwhile, they, of course, covering their own territories, their previous territories this quarter. Now, as we move into the second quarter, we'll start seeing the impact of their activities with the rest of the regional team. The other thing that we did was we hired a very experienced former head of corporate accounts from a major animal health company, much larger than us. This person actually built the corporate accounts team at that company, and now she's come here to do the same thing with us. This is timely for us because we now have, we believe, the product portfolio that will be able to get the attention of the corporate groups. When we started just only 3.5 years ago, we had the TRUFORMA device with 3 assays, and that's it. So if we had gone to corporate accounts then, they would have said, look, I need to pay attention to other things that can have a bigger impact on our business. But now we've got the opportunity to help them not only enable their vets to improve care and client satisfaction, but also to do the things that the corporate groups really want them to do. Bring in new sources of revenue with PulseVet, with the CC, to optimize their spend on their existing products for diagnostics, to improve their workflow with VetGuardian, with the TRUVIEW, to improve their cash flow with all of our products, and ultimately improve their profitability. And so it's timely for us, and we believe that she's going to be able to help us, do one concerted effort to sell, to get a customer to say yes. And in these situations, that customer represents many clinics as opposed to one at a time. We'll still do it, but all of our our projections and things are based on us, continuing to do it one at a time. So this will provide upside potential for us.
That's great context. Thank you. And as we're heading into the, end of our session, maybe we could transition to talking about the investor base. So you have, some very engaged, holders. I've seen you active on StockTwits and Reddit this morning talking about the company. For investors who might be newer to the name, could you sort of sum up the value proposition, if they're looking across veterinary health or if they're looking even more broadly at testing and diagnostics, what's kind of the Zomedica case?
Well, so first of all, the market segment, it's healthcare, which is always a good sector, but it's a subset of that. It's animal health.
Mhm.
And with respect to animal health, it's a very large market, and it's grown a lot. And we all love our pets, and maybe we'll skip a well patient visit if money's tight, and the puppy seems fine, the dog seems fine. But if our pet is sick or injured, we're going to the vet, and that's our business. And so we're in a market that's very conducive to sustained growth, even in economic downturns. On top of that, from a standpoint of investors that look at healthcare, one of the things that they have to take into account or should, when you're looking at healthcare companies is what are the regulatory issues associated with that particular product or company? What's the risk of the getting or not getting approval from the FDA for what have you? And then once you get approval from the FDA, then what's the reimbursement situation going to be? You have to go down to CMS and get a new code. You have to negotiate reimbursement with payers. And all of those are non-issues in the market that we're in. The market that we're in does not include drugs, right? So we do not sell drugs for animals. And that means the FDA is really not involved in what we're doing. Of course, they have oversight over everything. And if we put a product out there and it hurt animals, the FDA would, it would get their attention. But other than that, other than making sure that we do the right thing by our pet parents and our vets and our pets, and don't put products out that are going to hurt people, we don't even have to send the FDA a note when we're launching a product. And it's a cash business, so there's no codes, there's no reimbursement to negotiate. So it's a very attractive market, generally speaking. Now, if you want to invest in a public company in animal health, you have some choices. There's big billion-dollar companies out there for sure, but there aren't a lot of small cap public companies out there in animal health, and we represent one. We represent one that has plenty of cash in the bank, and while we're not yet cash flow positive, we're on a pathway to that. We got plenty of capital to do it and a track record that shows that, yeah, if they just keep doing what they're doing, they're going to get there. So with that said, I'd say that we should represent a pretty attractive opportunity for investors looking for to take a position in this particular market.
Great summary. With
And
that,
I'll just say, I'll just ice that by saying, I know that we do here at Zomedica. You'll see, we had, with insider trading rules, we're locked out during certain periods and the trading windows are open or not open. And they were open on Monday though. And I think anyone that follows insider activity would see that the people here at Zomedica believe we have a great opportunity and are on a pathway to success.
absolutely. With that, we are at time. So, I'd like to thank you, Larry and Scott, for sharing the Zomedica story with us. And I'd also like to thank everybody listening for spending time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.